Just over a year ago, we were packed into the Westminster Bridge Park Plaza Hotel for a gala evening, celebrating the achievements of writers, broadcasters and photographers over the previous 12 months. Little could we have imagined how different things would look in a year's time. But as the old saying goes, the show must go on.
Well, it's been a challenging year for the whole nation.
It has been an extraordinary year.
The awards should be a celebration of the resilience of people in our industry.
It's important to salute the skills, the talents of the British sports media, which I firmly believe is the best in the world.
At a time when everybody is feeling a bit low, what better than an awards ceremony just to pick us up and to remind us how important the journalism industry actually is.
I really can't wait to see who's won.
Hello, welcome to Twickenham, one of many stadiums that's had to transform its working ways to present sport over the past 12 months. And we're going to do very much the same with these SJA British Sports Journalism Awards as we celebrate the best photography, broadcasting and writing of 2020. Now, testing, social distancing, face masks, they all remain very much part of our everyday lives. We have all had to adapt to keep our standards high. Sadly, we can't all be in one room. We might be apart, but that doesn't mean the conversation has to stop. You can get involved by heading over to the SJA social channels and let us know where you are, who you're watching with, and your tipple of choice to enjoy the show and toast the winners. Just use hashtag SJA2020. Before we start, we must recognise the two major sponsors supporting this SJA event. First, our headline sponsor, the National Lottery, always a strong supporter of the SJA, and Canon, sponsors of the Portfolio of the Year and Photographer of the Year awards. Well, both sponsors are great friends and we thank them for their continued support. Before the awards, we thought we'd put this challenging year into perspective. Wimbledon was a casualty in 2020. They're hoping to start the fortnight at the end of June. SJA committee member Karthi Nanasegaram managed to get behind the doors at the All England Club for this special report.
Thank you, Jim, and welcome everyone to a unique and hopefully one-of-a-kind SJA Sports Journalism Awards in a year in which we've been socially distanced, masked up and locked down in order to protect the most vulnerable and safeguard the NHS. Everyone has had to learn to adapt in that time, and the sporting world is no different. Some venues, like Twickenham, have been able to stage prestigious tournaments, but some of the biggest events in the sporting calendar, like the Olympics and the Championships here at Wimbledon, have had to postpone or cancel their 2020 plans. With the vaccination programme well underway, there is some hope of normality resuming this year. Maybe we'll have action on Centre Court and potentially even fans here on Henman Hill. But until then, let's take tonight to celebrate the achievements of the past 12 months, because it's a year where we've had to make the best of the very worst. A year where everyday people became heroes. A year of lockdowns, of baking bread and endless Zooms. And through it all, we've needed the escapism of sport. To have the odds upset, legacies reborn and voices heard. To feel the thrill of the chase, the elation of victory, and even to be humbled by defeat. It's been a year of adaptation, reminiscing in the joy of a rerun, unmuting the empty stands. Sports journalists have had to find new ways to report, to question, to catalogue and create. With time and technology, we've begun a new, more inclusive, more connected era of journalism. We will be together again, but this year's awards, there'll be no bright lights and tuxedos, no hall full of friends and stories and laughter. Instead, we're trying something new and different, the SJA's first fully digital awards ceremony. So sit back, relax and celebrate the excellent work you've all done in a year like no other.
Kathy, thank you very much indeed. Well, despite all those handicaps, we have a record high amount of entries for these awards, a whopping 780 spread across all three categories. That is an all-time high, and these awards date back to 1976. We have to thank the judges. You might not agree with their verdicts. You cannot argue with their devotion and dedication. Now, Colin Bateman is the chair of the Writing Awards. They considered 825 articles, and that's where we begin. We start tonight with the journalists who specialise in a particular sport, offering us insight and a bulging contacts book. Here's the shortlist for Specialist Correspondent. Alan Dawson, Insider. From The Sun, Ben Hunt. David Coverdale and Jonathan McAvoy, both the Daily Mail. Matt Christie, Boxing News. And from BBC Sport, Nick Hope. To reveal the top-placed entrants from Sky News, here's Martha Kellner.
Thanks very much, Jim. It's an honour to be presenting this section of a different-looking SJA Awards this evening. The judges awarded bronze to Nick Hope from the BBC and silver to the Daily Mail's Jonathan McAvoy. The winning portfolio, however, showed a mastery of three different sports writing disciplines, with a feature, a column, and a live report. It also gave the reader a rare glimpse into what it's really like to be a journalist covering a major sporting event. The winner of the Specialist Correspondent of the Year at this year's SJA Awards is Matt Christie from Boxing News.
Congratulations to Matt Christie on picking up his first SJA award and the first award of the night. Right, let's move on to the writers who give us food for thought, a new perspective, even an insight into the minds of those at the top of their sport. Here's the shortlist for Sports Feature Writer. Andy Bull, The Guardian and The Observer. Daniel Taylor from The Athletic UK. Hannah Jane Parkinson, The Guardian and The Observer. From The Telegraph, Molly McKelvey. The Mail on Sundays, Oliver Holt. Peter Thomas, Racing Post. Riyadh Al Samurai, The Daily Mail. Stuart James, The Athletic UK. Let's get back to Martha for the results.
The Daily Mail's Riyadh Al Samurai takes bronze. Silver goes to Daniel Taylor of The Athletic UK. But with a high standard of writing, strength of thought and freshness of ideas, the judges said the winner ticked every box and more in what was a hugely competitive category. The SJA Sports Feature Writer of the Year is The Guardian and Observer's Andy Bull.
Now we turn our attention to the regions, the shortlist for Regional Sports Journalist. Alex Bywater, Westgate Sports Agency. Chris Wathen, BBC Sport Wales. From Reach plc, David Dubaz-Fisher. John Coleman, News and Star, The Cumberland News. From the Portsmouth News, Neil Allen. Stephen Chicken, Huddersfield Examiner and Yorkshire Live. Martha, tell us who's won.
Bronze goes to Stephen Chicken from the Huddersfield Examiner and Yorkshire Live. Last year's winner, Neil Allen from the Portsmouth News, takes silver. The winner, though, is no stranger to this trophy. He's won it 6 times before, and yet again, the judges said he came up with an exceptionally strong portfolio. He showed superb knowledge of different matters, written in a manner that was factual yet emotional, hard-hitting yet sensitive. The SJA Regional Sports Reporter of the Year is who else but John Coleman from the News and Star and Cumberland News.
So a magnificent 7th win. That is an SJA record for a single category. We couldn't let this landmark pass without talking to John Coleman. Many congratulations. You've obviously kept your standards very high in difficult times.
Well, they are difficult times, and you know, I think everyone across the regional press, whether that's sport or news or anything else, has kept the standards remarkably high. I'm full of admiration for how people have across the board tried to do that.
John, how important do you think it is for us to have a flourishing regional press in the UK?
I think it's absolutely vital. There's so much essential work out there of holding local institutions to account, local football clubs to account, being the independent eye and the voice for people that I think you only get on that local, regional level, that level of scrutiny. I think we're so much weaker without that.
John, it's the 7th time that you've won this award. You reckon you're the most prolific individual winner in the history of the SJA Awards. You must have had other little offers to go elsewhere. What is it about the job that you do and the area that you do it in that keeps you there?
Well, I love living here. I love working here. I love reporting and writing about the football team that I love and, the sporting community that I've grown up in. And that really does mean a lot to me. I'm very grateful and fortunate to be able to do that.
John, could I just ask you to talk about one story in your portfolio about an amateur boxer, Robbie Pattinson, who was brutally attacked and came back? And it's interesting how you got to hear about that story.
It was as simple as an email came into the sports desk from Andy Crossman, Robbie's coach and trainer at Wigton Amateur Boxing Club. This is potentially quite an extraordinary story of a lad who only a few months earlier had been stabbed and very, very come close to losing his life in a horrific attack. An incredible story, really. Andy's come to me with a picture on his phone of the X-ray of the knife that the attacker had stabbed Robbie in the head with, and how close it came, a millimetre more, and he would have been dead. Absolutely extraordinary. Andy said Robbie's one of the toughest lads I know, and that can sound like a cliche at times, but in this case, there can't be any disputing it. Incredible story, and just full of admiration for both those guys in how they told it and just ultimately what they went through.
I'll tell you what comes through loud and clear to me and everybody watching this, John, is your love and enthusiasm.
Driving 6 hours, watching a game of football, writing about it, reporting on it, interviewing people about it, talking about it, and then coming home and calling that work. Let's be honest, a lot of people would absolutely kill for that. So I know how lucky I am to do it. I know all my peers have that sort of gratitude to be able to do it. That's why we give so much to it. That's why we love it, and we want to keep doing it, basically.
Great stuff, John. Brilliant to talk to you. Many, many congratulations from us all.
Thank you. Cheers.
John Coleman, what a superb journalist. There are more writing awards coming up later, but now we turn to the world of broadcasting. Under Chair Faye Carruthers, the judges had 44 hours of material to wade through. We're going to start with the world of audio. In the audio radio show category, the shortlist looks like this.
Then I thought I just went and saw a psychiatrist, fell on my knees and just said, "You need to help me because I can't do this on my own."
We are live from Goodison Park for what is a unique game in a unique part of the country right now.
There's some curry for you boys. And I believe it's the Samras.
Oh, come on! My life was a mess, a complete mess. So the tournament was everything to me, absolutely everything to me.
And now look what's happened to him. So I think that what's happened in this situation is that he's put himself above Marcus Rashford's health.
We smile at each other in disbelief, Jim, that we are here in Formula One and that Lewis has broken all these records.
Here to reveal the top three, we have Sky Sports News chief reporter Brian Swanson.
Thanks, Jim. A great range of shows were entered for this awards, with bronze and silver going to TalkSport for Game Day exclusive and White and Jordan, respectively. The winning entry came up with something a bit special and handled it superbly. The judges said the guest of the year, Prince William, could have been recorded in a much more traditional way, but this show stayed true to its roots and delivered humour, warmth and originality on the important subject of mental health. The SJA Audio Radio Show of the Year is that Peter Crouch podcast from BBC Radio 5 Live.
So just in that environment where we were talking about our feelings, and I genuinely felt so much better after. I was like, oh my God, I got that off my chest a little bit. I masked that to everyone because I'm in the environment where it's such a male-orientated thing, and any weakness shown is an excuse not to make it.
It's a strength to talk about your mental health, and it's not a weakness. If you're not feeling well, if things are bothering you, talk about it. It's not a problem.
And taking us to the live action for a ringside seat, here are the entries for the audio-radio live coverage.
He's been absolutely pummeled and the towel comes in! The towel comes in! Tyson Fury is the winner in Las Vegas! Jay Reyes, he throws in the towel.
He dances with it and then raises it high, and at long, long last, those barren years without the league title are over. They're consigned to history. Liverpool are the Premier League champions.
I said, Mike, you wouldn't understand. You see, these guys living in here as Caribbean people living in England, they feel as if they are being left out. And every time a Caribbean team comes to England, they want us to beat England badly so that they can walk proudly around the streets.
For the winner, we go back to Brian.
In a challenging year for live sports broadcasting, bronze goes to Wilder versus Fury 2 from TalkSport. Silver goes to end of the championship season from BBC Radio 5 Live Sports. The winning production was judged to be powerful and brave as it captured the mood of world events. It was a thought-provoking piece of broadcasting. The coverage showed originality, humour and intelligence, giving cricket a familiarity that was comfortable but different. The winner of the SJA Audio Radio Live Award is England's cricket tour of the Rainbow Nation from TalkSport.
I'm absolutely flabbergasted on what's happening here. Quentin de Kock has caught 6 catches. They've had 2 bowled because they've pitched the ball up. Philander, Rabada, Nikita, everybody's pitched it up and got wickets. In England are bowling short balls with a 6-3 field. It doesn't make sense.
Thank you, Brian. Many congratulations to BBC Sports News and TalkSport for claiming our first broadcast awards. Now it's all about the scoop, the story everyone wishes they'd discovered, the story that sets the agenda for the media for weeks ahead. We had some great scoops in 2020. Haiti FA president accused of sexually abusing young female footballers. Ed Aarons, Roman Molina, Alex Sismic from The Guardian. Lionel Messi breaks silence on transfer saga. Ruben Uria, goal. Project Big Picture from The Telegraph, Sam Wallace. Rugby's dementia crisis. Andy Bull and Michael Aylwin, The Guardian. Stars allege abuse at heart of British gymnastics. Steve Scott, ITV News. Stars phone records fixed. Matt Lawton, The Times. Taking bronze, Steve Scott of ITV News, and sharing silver are Andy Bull and Michael Aylwin from The Guardian. In this unique category, it's all about getting the key piece of insider knowledge, and we went right to the winner to discuss their seismic scoop.
United and Liverpool plot football's biggest shake-up in a generation. Project Big Picture. Do we leave it as it is and allow the small clubs to wither? Or do we do something about it?
Project Big Picture, our winning scoop, is a set of proposals put together by Liverpool and Manchester United, providing a wave of funding to the lower leagues in the EFL. The footballing calendar would be trimmed to suit the top Premier League clubs, with the number of Premier League teams cut from 20 to 18, and more power in the hands of the top 6. Sam Wallace was the man who pulled the trigger on the story.
I think I realised the scale of it when you looked at the size of the clubs who were involved, Liverpool, Manchester United, and the fact that they very rarely disclose their position on any of these big issues. It's always hard to say how you think a story will go down, but I was pretty sure in the last few days before we published that this was the biggest story of my career as a reporter so far. I first came across the story really weeks in advance, but it was one of those that took a long time to make sure that we were right on all the details. I think the reactions really went beyond what I expected. There was a government response the same day, and News at 10, which is on the BBC, which is really the sort of gold standard of the day's agenda, they featured a segment on it too. In the wide details of Project Big Picture, there was something for everyone in there, whether you were a fan of Liverpool or whether you were a fan of Doncaster Rovers, it would affect your club. I think you could make a very strong case for Project Big Picture being the biggest shake-up in the history of English football. It failed because the 14 clubs outside the so-called Big Six were never ever going to vote for a smaller Premier League and less money. But its legacy goes on today, and we can see that in the discussions around the new Champions League format post-2024. I can't tell you how chuffed I am to win this award. It's something that I've always had as an ambition to be recognised by the SJA. I've been to the ceremony many years over and over and seen some fantastic journalists, many of whom I count as good friends, recognised for their work. And to be part of that list, it really is a thrill for me.
Thank you very much indeed, Sam. Well done for breaking that story. Now our first photographic award. Panel chair Matthew Fern and his judges looked at 1,869 images. We start by revealing the best portfolio. In the Best Sports Portfolio category, sponsored by Canon, we have a clean sweep for Getty Images. The names: Alex Livesey, Clive Mason, Daniel Mullen, Julian Finney, Michael Steele, and Sean Bottrell. That's your Canon Sports Portfolio shortlist. Now, it gives me great pleasure to hand over to Press Segment Manager at Canon UK Limited, Jackie Moores, for the result.
Thank you, Jim. It's been a difficult year for putting together a multi-sports portfolio, and the judges commended everyone on the shortlist for producing a fine set of pictures. In a clean sweep for Getty Images, bronze goes to Julian Finney and silver to Alex Livesey. The judges said the winning entry used imagination, good light, a variety of subjects to produce a beautiful portfolio. I am happy to announce the Canon Sports Portfolio Award goes to Michael Steele.
In the Specialist Sports Portfolio, here's your shortlist. 2 from Getty Images, Clive Brunskill and Clive Mason. David Davis, PA Media. Harry Trump, Getty Images. The Freelance, Philip Brown. And finally from Getty Images, Ross Kinnaird. And here's Bob Martin, 3 times SJA Sports Photographer of the Year, to reveal the winner.
Thanks for that, Jim. It's now my pleasure to reveal the result for the Specialist Sports Photographer of the Year. Bronze goes to David Davis of Press Association. The silver goes to Clive Brunskill of Getty Images. And the winner of this year's SJA Award for the Specialist Sports Portfolio goes unsurprisingly to Clive Mason of Getty Images. The judges remarked his set had everything: creativity, action, fantastic use of light, and as always, Clive's special eye for a picture. Really well done to you, Clive. A fantastic set of pictures.
Now the Football Portfolio shortlist, here's how it shaped up. Alex Livesey, Getty Images. Eddie Keogh, Freelance. Lawrence Griffiths, Getty Images. From Manchester City Football Club, Matt McNulty. Matthew Childs, Reuters, Action Images. And from Getty Images, Michael Regan. To reveal the top 3, well, he's been our Photographer of the Year 4 times. It's Kent Gavin.
Matt McNulty from Manchester City FC takes bronze, and Alex Livesey of Getty Images the silver. And the judges were unanimous in their decision on the best selection of 10 pictures for the Football Portfolio of the Year goes to Michael Regan of Getty Images.
Well, that's a clean sweep for Getty Images. Many congratulations to all concerned. Now, over the years, the SJA has a great tradition of developing young talent, developing and encouraging, and now we have 4 categories all devoted to young people making their mark in the journalistic world. There was a lot of debate about the right person to present these youth-orientated awards. For some reason, I've been elbowed out, and the job has gone to actor and comedian Rosenthal Jr.
Hello, everybody. And thank you, Father. Yes, I don't know what I'm doing here either, to be honest. I'm in comedy shows. The SJAs seem to think that I would appeal to some of the younger journalists, which I won't because they're not 14-year-old girls on TikTok. I just shouldn't be here. My only sports journalism credential was that I came out of Jim Rosenthal's balls, right? But I said to the SJA, you know what, it's kind of mad, but I'll do it if you can find a legal way that I can go on holiday. So it gives me great pleasure to announce the winners in these 4 categories, spanning the future of sports broadcasting, sports writing, and sports photography. Good luck, guys. Quite a powerful group, the SJA, turns out. Don't get on the wrong side of them.
Shortlisted this year for Young Sports Photographer of the Year is Alex Burstow, Cameron Smith, Chloe Knott, Harry Murphy, Molly Darlington, and Morgan Harlow. So, with a particularly high standard this year, and ignoring the fact that award ceremonies say that every year, bronze goes to Chloe Knott of Dane House Photography, silver to Molly Darlington of Reuters and Action Images, and gold to Sport Files' Harry Murphy. Next, the shortlist for Young Sports Journalist. Art de Roche, Callum Treneman, Chloe Merrill, Isan Khan, Katie Wyatt, Molly Hudson, Tom Kershaw, all of whom should be congratulated on a year of great work despite the fact the world is ending. Third place and bronze goes to Give Me Sports, Chloe Merrill. Silver to Tom Kershaw of The Independent, and gold to what the judges called a standout submission in this year's category, Katie Wyatt. Now onto the broadcast categories, starting with the ones to watch off-air, and the shortlist looks like this. Abby Patterson from The Athletic UK, Daniel Kahn, Sky Sports, Declan McCarthy from TalkSport, Ed Higgs from Sky Sports, George Cottam from BBC Radio 5 Live, and Maddie Morrison, Sky Sports. Bronze goes to Ed Higgs, silver, George Cottam, but the winner, beating all the losers, is Daniel Kahn from Sky Sports. Now, for those vain attention seekers who'd sell their mother for screen time, the nominees for Best Young Sports Broadcasting Journalist on Air: Austin Hailwood, Betty Glover, Billy Monger, James Savundra, J.D. Dyer, Mayowa Quadri, and Miriam Walker-Khan. Bronze goes to Austin Hailwood. Silver, Billy Monger. And the winner, making it a Sky Sports broadcasting double, is J.D. Dyer.
Congratulations to the 4 winners. This is a pivotal moment in your life and will change your career forever. And if you lost, don't worry, all awards are fundamentally meaningless. I now pass you back to the man whose shadow I will never escape, and not just because his nose is massive. I can say that I inherited it genetically. Yeah, can I get 4 more?
Well, I should probably point out to you that Tom is actually working overseas, although why I should make any excuses for him after that beats me. Seriously though, congratulations to all concerned, all the winners and all those on the shortlist too. Watch out for the names at future SJA award events. Now, back to the written word for our next 2 awards. First, the opinionated, the opinion formers, the opinion changers. Your shortlist for the sports columnist is David Walsh, The Sunday Times, Isabel Westbury, Freelance, James Gearbrandt from The Times, The Daily Mail's Martin Samuel, 3 from The Times, Matt Dickinson, Matthew Side and Mike Atherton, and finally, the Mail on Sunday's Oliver Holt. To announce the top three, a man with a few opinions of his own, Mr. Patrick Barclay.
Thanks, Jim, and it's quite an honour to be judging this particular category. And the judging was close. David Walsh of the Sunday Times is awarded bronze. Mike Atherton of the Times is silver. The winning entry contained 3 superbly crafted columns, consistent and always readable, with an exceptional take on the contradictory faces of boxing, amateur and professional. The SJA Sports Columnist of the Year is Matt Dickinson of The Times.
And so on to the digital sports publisher. Those making the shortlist are CNN Sport, Sky Sports, The Athletic UK, The Coach's Voice, The Telegraph, and Wales Online. Revealing the winner, we have the chair of the SJA Awards Committee, Mary Fitzhenry.
Thanks very much, Jim. It's my very great pleasure to be able to announce the winners of the Digital Publisher of the Year this year. The bronze in this category goes to The Athletic, with silver to The Telegraph. For the winners, however, the judges pointed to a very polished, high-skilled, and in-depth entry with standout production values. The SJA Digital Publisher of the Year is CNN Sport.
Well, that's fine work by CNN, who the judges said brought television production values to the digital experience. Time now for our next 2 broadcast awards. For the best television digital show that uses analysis, commentary, journalism and conversation to cover sport in a captivating and entertaining way, the shortlist looks like this.
Give us your best pose for the out, please. Yes.
Oh, what's that? It's sad. Where has this hate come from? From the age of 12? It doesn't make sense. It's sad that it's a 12-year-old, but you gotta be held account for the things that you say.
Creativity controls.
We're back. Stronger, better, bigger, faster, fitter.
You're watching that 7 show. Rewind the back it.
Well, getting that promotion up to number 3 at Lords was a godsend, because I think he was averaging like 3 in the championship before that.
Because we are in a different era now, we forget just how bad it was. And it was horrific. And I don't use that word lightly.
That is the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dan. They look clean. Their record looks clean. But they are absolutely filthy. This team is going nowhere. Mark my words.
Revealing the result of this award, we have the SJA's chair of the broadcast judges, broadcaster Faye Carruthers.
Thank you, Jim. Well, this was a hotly contested category, and judges have awarded 2 bronzes to the Ashes live watch-along from Sky Sports and Channel 4's Formula One highlights, the Russian Grand Prix from Whisper and Channel 4.
And the silver goes to Ski Sunday from the BBC.
Judges said the winning entry has the ability to switch between light entertainment and serious in-depth analysis. It brings in and educates viewers on what's often an unfamiliar sport without ignoring the more knowledgeable audience. Despite having 3 hosts in a year, it maintained its quality and its personality. The SJA Television Digital Show of the Year is the NFL Show from Whisper, BBC Sport and the NFL. Congratulations.
I got one thing I want to say to you, Tom. I'm sorry!
People want to help you. People want to be involved. But it's this challenge that I never want to go back to.
This is incredible. First of all, we've never had this screen before, so this is what happens when Dan comes in. They bring out the big boys.
I demanded it.
And staying with television or digital, we turn to the live event coverage. Here's your shortlist.
Lewis Hamilton has taken his 7th ever win at Silverstone.
And until we do that and educate the entire human race, this thing will not stop.
So enjoy
work hard and play well.
It's going to be Katata who takes the victory. Kachumba second, Lemmer third.
But really, they don't matter. Stradivarius, one of the greatest stayers in the modern era, a pad down the neck, lands his third Gold Cup.
Let's get to the breaking news from Everton. Vinnie O'Connor has the details. Vinnie.
And here's the shortlist. Back to Faye for the result.
So the pandemic and obviously the lack of crowds set new challenges for live sports coverage in 2020, and our shortlist reflects how the best broadcasters responded. Sunset and Vine take the bronze for BT Sport live Premier League football returns. ITV Sports Royal Ascot is awarded silver. The winner, however, included probably the most moving and compelling set of interviews on race and racism in a year when the Black Lives Matter movement showed why education is so important. As one of the interviewees, Michael Holding, told The Guardian afterwards, all sport can do is help show the way. It cannot solve the problem. This broadcast, though, certainly helped to show the way. The SJA Television Digital Live Event Coverage Award goes to England versus West Indies, Black Lives Matter from Sky Sports. A very big well done.
There's nothing called white privilege. Give me a break. I don't see any white people going into a store on Oxford Street and being followed. A black man walks in, somebody is following him everywhere he goes. That is basic white privilege. Whether that white person went in to rob the place or not is not going to be thought of that way. And things like that have to change.
Well, I've left to Twickenham and headed to the Midlands carrying this very precious piece of cargo, the Doug Gardner Award. Some of you might remember at last year's ceremony, I was the victim of an elaborate SJA hoax. I was surprised, shocked and ultimately delighted when President Patrick Collins made this announcement.
Because of all the tremendous work he's done for sport, for sports broadcasting and for this association, the winner of this year's Doug Gardner Award is Jim Rosenthal.
The Doug Gardner Award is the SJA's highest accolade. It's named after the man who served on the committee for 28 years. It's awarded to someone who's made exceptional contributions to the world of sports journalism and the SJA. Great names on here as well, including Hugh McIlvanney, Michael Parkinson, Patrick Egar and Barry Davis. And now the time has come for me to hand this over to the recipient of this year's award as chosen by your SJA committee.
I have jokingly referred to her as the head girl of the committee.
She's the most wonderful company, very funny.
One of her legacies, I think, is actually showing female journalists that there was a place for them on the SJA.
Just like any top player, she's performed at the very top level.
Congratulations, Janine. This is a well-deserved award.
I actually can't think of anybody else more deserving of this award.
You have my utmost respect and admiration. It's been a joy and a pleasure to have you as my friend for all this time.
Janine, congratulations. Nobody deserves an award more than you do. Nobody will be more surprised than you are to receive one, because that's the way you are.
These may be the virtual awards, but I can still raise a glass and say, cheers, Janine. You've done the SJA proud.
Well, terrific admiration and respect, Janine, for the job that you do and continue to do so well. Couldn't be in better hands. What's your reaction?
I'm absolutely stunned. Thank you to everybody. I really enjoy doing things for the SJA and I couldn't do it without the committee. They're absolutely fantastic as well.
And it's fair to say in your time as a journalist and a woman journalist, you have seen things change pretty dramatically.
Yes, it's almost like a different world. You cast your mind back all those few 2 or 3 decades and when really there were very, very few women around, and now you look around and luckily it's an increasing number every year, especially in broadcast. I'd personally like to see a few more print, but yes, I think we're going in the right direction.
And how's the last year been for you in the freelance world?
This time last year, I was a freelance who was looking forward to Wimbledon, the Olympics and the Paralympics, and I was also doing football, and suddenly there's a lockdown and everything is cancelled and there's barely any work. And I think that there were a lot of journalists in trouble, and there are still a lot of journalists in trouble. And I think we need to look out for them as well.
How important do you think the SJA is to modern journalism?
We all recognise that we've got to tap into the youngsters, so we're starting up a lot of schemes to get the university students involved. So there's a whole new generation, and we'd like to be able to say, come to us and we'll help you.
And just sum up your feelings about receiving this Doug Gardner Award, could you, Janine?
For the last few years, and I've been at the awards dinner and I've seen the winners, you sit there and you see a list of names and you wonder how on earth you can find yourself in their company, and that's basically it. What on earth am I doing there?
Don't worry about that, Janine. You deserve to be there thoroughly. Well, I really enjoyed that home delivery with Janine Self. Back here at Twickenham, it's time to pause the awards and remember the friends and colleagues who have left us since we gathered last year. Well, we can't have our customary toast, but I urge you to raise a glass wherever you are. Back to our awards, and we're looking at the expert journalists whose chosen subject is cricket, football or rugby. And we start with the shortlist for cricket journalist. Here's the batting lineup. Ali Martin, The Guardian. Dean Wilson, Daily Mirror. At number 3, James Wallace, Freelance. From the Daily Mail, Lawrence Booth. Mike Atherton, The Times. And 2 from The Telegraph, Nick Holt and Tim Wigmore. Revealing the result, we have broadcaster Anne-Marie Batson.
Thanks, Jim. It's my pleasure to announce the winners of the Cricket Journalist category. Voting was close in a field of top-class writers. Bronze goes to Ali Martin of The Guardian. Multiple winner Mike Atherton is awarded silver this time. And as one judge put it, in a crowded field, One winner is described as the Ben Stokes of cricket writers, a consummate all-rounder who runs, wickets and catches into contact stories and interviews. His best work was his agenda-changing investigative reporting into cricket and racism. The SJA's Cricket Writer of the Year is The Telegraph's Nick Holt.
Now we have one of the most highly contested titles in football journalism, the Football Journalist. On the team sheet, we have Daniel Taylor, The Athletic UK. From The Times, Henry Winter. The Telegraph's Jason Burt. Jonathan Liu, The Guardian. Katie Wyatt, The Athletic UK. And from The Telegraph, Sam Wallace.
This category is almost always a close call, but not this time. Henry Winter of The Times took the bronze, Daniel Taylor of The Athletic UK takes the silver, but the winning entry came with the biggest football story of the year in what judges called a superb showcase of a football journalist at the top of his trade. His exclusive on Project Big Picture was sports journalism at its finest. The SJA Football Writer of the Year goes to Sam Wallace of The Telegraph.
Excellent awards for Sam. That's the second category he's won after Sports Scoop. Well done. A very clear winner too. Now the line out for Rugby Journalist of the Year. Daniel Schofield, The Telegraph. Mark Palmer, The Sunday Times. Michael Olwyn, The Guardian and The Observer. From the Mail on Sunday, Nick Simon. The Guardian's Rob Kitson. And from the Sunday Times, Stephen Jones. Once again, Anne-Marie, the ball's in your court.
Bronze goes to Stephen Jones of the Sunday Times, while the Telegraph's Daniel Schofield takes the silver. And there's a new name on the trophy, with interviews that were insightful and enjoyable to read, and a portfolio that contained what the judges called a cracking news exclusive. The SJA Rugby Journalist of the Year is the Mail on Sunday's Nick Simon.
The Mail on Sunday's Nick Simon, a clear winner in this category and a first-time winner as well. Well done, Nick. Back to broadcasting. Our next two awards focus on the best documentaries. First, the audio-radio documentary. Here's the shortlist.
In 1990, Justin came out as gay, and he remains the only male professional footballer in England to do so while still playing.
And now Klopp has the same emotional connection with the Liverpool fans that he had with the Mainz and the Dortmund supporters.
And with that, we're into injury time. A fairy tale ending is chalked off by the flag of an assistant referee.
I'd just like to say that he was a son, brother, uncle and friend to many. And we'll all miss him, but we'll never stop loving him.
That's something I think we've all got to ask ourselves, guys in the rugby media and fans at home, are we guilty of putting people in a category that actually might not be accurate whatsoever?
We want to give them that dignity and tell them that the fans of this city, the fans of this team, the fans of this region actually care about them.
Here's the shortlist. This was a very tight category. Who's come out on top? Journalist and writer Michael Calvin will tell us.
Thanks, Jim. Some top quality entries here covering a wide variety of topics. Bronze goes to Coming In From the Cold from TalkSport. And silver goes to the Everything is Black and White podcast from Chronicle Live, Reach PLC. According to the judges, the winner was radio journalism at its finest. While other entries addressed more hard-hitting topics, the winner looked to a different angle of Liverpool's Premier League winning season. The story was well covered on every media platform, and yet this documentary told the audience things they didn't know. It was all about the journalism of telling a tale while keeping us entertained. The SJA Award for Audio Radio Documentary of the Year goes to Klopp's Journey, Black Forest Hills to Anfield Thrills, from BBC Sports News.
And now Klopp has the same emotional connection with the Liverpool fans that he had with the Mainz and the Dortmund supporters. An extraordinary journey to Anfield for the normal guy from the Black Forest.
In the audio-radio documentary category, the shortlist looks like this.
It's the way it was dealt with afterwards, which made things escalate out of control.
I think you've enjoyed it, haven't you? Watching all that again. Can you remember?
I couldn't remember a lot of the memories.
Yeah.
I was literally getting myself gradually off the bottle, but in many ways I was still in a very alcoholic state.
Efforts for FareShare have enabled them to distribute an additional 9.5 million meals to the most vulnerable.
Bend your knees. Yeah.
Keep on growing up in that sort of society and you'll not get meaningful change.
It was just frustrating that people are not seeing what's going on.
Can't wait to hear this.
Hi, Sal.
And here's the shortlist. And Carthy has all the results.
Thanks, Jim. Good to be back again. The judges said any of the 6 shortlisted documentaries could have won this highly competitive category, and you could barely put a cigarette paper between them. Their words, not mine. Bronze goes to BBC Sport and BBC Breakfast for Rob Burrow, My Year with MND. And silver is awarded to Greavesy from BT Sport. The judges said the winner showed a different and personal angle to a story well documented. It was an impactful piece of reflective television that moved the story forward. The SJA award for the TV or digital documentary of the year goes to Anton Ferdinand, Football, Racism and Me from Wonder TV.
If you're speaking from the heart, it's fine, it will always come out right. No, listen, I'm proud of you, man. Doing this is something that, you can impact people for positive change, to be more aware about certain things and issues, then they'll be more proud, probably.
That was a very competitive category indeed. A big win for Wonder TV, their first at the SJAs with that Anton Ferdinand documentary. Well done. Now it is the Sports Pundit of the Year. We do things a bit differently here. A panel of judges selects the 12 candidates who are then voted on by SJA members. Here's your shortlist. There's 2 from BBC Radio 5 Live for starters, Chris Sutton and Ebony Rainford-Brent. And then 2 from Sky Sports, Gary Neville and his sparring partner Jamie Carragher. Jason Bell of Whisper, BBC Sport and the NFL. Jermaine Genus, BBC Sport. Micah Richards, BBC Radio 5 Live. 2 more from Sky Sports, Michael Holding and Mo Moonsey. From Whisper, BBC Sport and the NFL, Osi Umenyora. From BT Sport, Rio Ferdinand. And finally, the outspoken Simon Jordan from Talk Sport. The bronze goes to Ebony Rainford-Brent. Micah Richards takes silver. Great talent on that shortlist. I can announce that the SJA Sports Pundit of the Year is Michael Holding, and we can hear from him now. Many, many congratulations on being the SJA's Pundit of the Year. I know you love your racing, and it's fair to say you've come through a very competitive field here and won by an absolute distance. What are your feelings right now?
I'm absolutely thrilled, Jim. I didn't know I'd won by a distance. I thought perhaps if I had made it, I just about made it by a nose. But it's a great feeling, you know, when your peers vote you as the person that they think should be number one. It's great. I need some clamps to put on the side of my head so it doesn't start swelling, Jim.
When you sit down as a commentator or a pundit, what is uppermost in your mind? What do you really want to deliver?
What I'm trying to do when I sit down in that chair in the commentary box is to try to get the people at home to understand exactly what's happening out there on the field. You know, when you're doing radio, it has to be a lot more descriptive than when you're doing television. People at home are seeing what you are seeing. So it's up to you, or my job, I think, is to try to tell them and explain things to them that are not obvious by the pictures that they are seeing.
Now, your life was transformed in July when we were all waiting for Test cricket to come back. While we were waiting at Southampton, you got up on a balcony there, and for a very private man, you absolutely laid yourself bare.
If it hadn't been for the rain, Jim, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to see as much as I did see, because it was just supposed to be a brief response to what the recording and move on to the cricket. It's something that has been in me and in my head for many, many years. You know, people don't understand what it is like to go through life and always thinking that people think very less of you than what you think of yourself. And it can be a little bit tiring. And when I got that opportunity, it just came spilling out.
The emotions were ragged, weren't they, Mikey? You were thinking of what your mum had to go through and what you hoped your grandson wouldn't go through.
The morning of the game, I remembered my mother. Not that it was discussed when I was a young man, but I found out about it much later on in life. And of course, when you're talking about your parents, Jim, some people that you love and you recognize that they had a hard time, that they didn't have to, and they never discussed it, they never complained about it, then that kind of brings on emotions.
Do you believe now that this has been a pivotal year, Mikey, and things are actually changing?
I believe so, and I hope so. If you just look at even the protests on the road, Jim, and look at the faces of the people that were on the road, I saw a Swedish women's football team take the knee before a game. So it's going all over the world that people are recognizing that things need to be done, and it's about time it did.
You are our pundit of the year. Great talking to you, Mikey. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jim, and again, thanks to everyone.
We go back to the printed press now, and we start with the Specialist Sports edition. Something to cherish, something absolutely exceptional, and something for everyone constantly to go back to. So here's the lineup. Fighting talk from Boxing News. George Floyd, 100 days on, how sport has fought for change. Sky Sports. Shut down, The Telegraph. The inclusive and diversity issue, Rugby World. The verdict, The Daily Mail. Women's Sport Monthly, The Telegraph. Chair of the Football Writers Association, beIN Sports, Carrie Brown, has the results for this one.
Thanks, Jim. It's my pleasure to announce the winner of the Special Sports edition. Bronze goes to The Telegraph for its shutdown edition. And the paper also takes silver for the Women's Sport Monthly. But the runaway winner this year is a special that was described by judges as outstanding. They said it provided powerful impact from start to finish. With a neatly judged balance of words and images, it was thought-provoking journalism which educates and stirs the emotions. The SJA award for the best special sports edition goes to George Floyd, 100 Days On, How Sport Has Fought for Change, from Sky Sports.
That's the first win in this category for Sky Sports. And now we move to the men and women who break the big sports news stories. The shortlist for Sports News Reporter. Ali Martin, The Guardian. David Conn, also The Guardian. 3 from The Telegraph. Jason Burt, Jeremy Wilson and Kate Rowan. From The Times, Matt Lawton. Matt Slater, The Athletic UK. And from ITV News, Steve Scott. Carrie, once again, knows the result.
Sports News reporter Jeremy Wilson of The Telegraph is awarded bronze. David Conn of The Guardian takes silver, and the winner of this category was praised by the judges for his quality journalism. His exposing of the culture of bullying and abuse in British gymnastics was, they said, in the finest tradition of investigative journalism. The SJA Sports News Reporter of the Year is ITV's Steve Scott.
Photography is back in the frame as we recognise the images capturing not only the action, but a lot more too. First, the award for the best sports picture, the shortlist for this one. From LAT Images, Andy Hone. From The Times, Bradley Ormsher. Then 4, all from Getty Images. Clive Mason, Daniel Mullen, David Rogers, and Michael Steele. The sports picture editor at Express Newspapers, Stuart Robinson, is here to announce the winning photographer.
Bronze goes to Michael Steele from Getty Images, while Bradley Ormisher for the Times takes the silver. Judges said the winner captured a unique moment, a split-second glimpse. The fact that it was a Formula One car suspended in mid-air made it even more special. The sports picture of the year was taken by Clive Mason of Getty Images.
And now we turn away from the action with the following photographers capturing some unique moments. He's already won the Best Picture, Clive Mason from Getty Images. 2 nominations in this category for Edward Whittaker of the Racing Post. Mark Aspland, The Times. Matt McNulty, Manchester City Football Club. And from The Guardian, Tom Jenkins. The responsibility for revealing which image impressed the panel most falls to the picture editor at the Daily Telegraph and chair of our photographic judges, Matthew Fern.
Thank you, Jim. Edward Whittaker of Racing Post takes the bronze. Mark Aspland of The Times takes silver. According to the judges, in a year when so many photographers found their weekly evenings and weekend afternoons devoid of match access, the winning photographer proved that the tenacious can shoot an award-winning picture from outside a ground. The SJA award for the away from the action picture goes to The Guardian's Tom Jenkins.
Now the big one for the photographers, the Canon Award for the Best Sports Photographer of the Year. Jackie Moores, press segment manager of Canon UK, will reveal our winner very shortly. Before that, let's just hear from the judges about what they look for in a perfect portfolio.
Oh dear me, what makes a good picture?
Impact. Impact. It must stop and make me look at the picture.
Impact, impact, and then a bit more impact.
It must be well composed. It must capture the moment perfectly. It must be technically correct.
Use the basics and then capture the peak of the action.
You need some form of perspective in the picture, if you can do, to lead the eye into the picture.
The most important thing is I want the picture to tell me something.
Encapsulate all of that information within that fraction, that tiny fraction of a second. For a portfolio winner, you've got to show variety.
And you must show the fact that you are a good action photographer, a good feature photographer, a good portrait photographer. And that's what makes a set of pictures that would win Sports Photographer of the Year.
You have to make it different, you have to make it impactful, and you have to make it technically brilliant. Tens and hundreds of thousands of hours. That's the dedication it takes to be a great sports photographer.
2020 has presented professional challenges for everyone in sports media, so it's particularly impressive that our Canon Sports Photographer of the Year swept the board, winning Specialist Sports Portfolio, Sports Picture, and being shortlisted for his entry in Away from the Action and the Canon Sports Portfolio categories. His comprehensive knowledge of the sport of Formula One enabled him to put together a spectacular collection of pictures capturing the drama, excitement, emotion and beauty of sport. I am pleased to announce the Canon Sports Photographer of the Year is Clive Mason of Getty Images.
It's clear from his pictures that Clive Mason is the consummate professional sports photographer.
A lovely man, a brilliant photographer, there's no question about that, and he's an expertise in this particular sport.
Clive, just on behalf of everybody, a huge congratulations on winning this amazing award.
Thank you, Jackie, so much. Thank you to yourself, to Canon for sponsoring, to the Sports Journalists Association, and of course to the judges. Never thought I'd ever get my hands on this again. The last person actually to present me with this trophy was a great dear old friend and colleague, Michael King, back in 2002 was the last person to hand me this, so I never dreamed at the time that I'd ever get the opportunity to hold it again, but here we are, and eternally grateful. Thank you. There's a few in there I was quite fond of. Things that happen that don't often happen. We got a really nice ray of light coming through the broken clouds of Lance Stroll. That was in Turkey. Yet again, ironically, Lance Stroll upside down in Bahrain.
Capturing the car mid-roll is just, again, a perfect example of how you can sit at a track for hours and hours, but then when the crucial moment happens, you don't blow it.
And I think that's what Clive's portfolio did show, that he was on top of what was happening within the sport he was photographing.
It was a very restrictive year and frustrating on many levels, but ultimately it's great that the sport continued, that we were able to get out there. It gave the fans something to watch, and it gave us obviously the opportunity to be out shooting pictures. I wouldn't want this presentation to go ahead without recognising the hard work also of the guys back in the office at Getty who put all the hard yards in, if you like. We get the glamour in, but so much happens behind the scenes, and for them to get us out there on the road, to allow me to take the pictures, I'm eternally grateful. So thanks to all at Getty Images.
Clive Mason, picture perfect, and our thanks to Jackie and Canon for their continuing support. Back to broadcasting now, we focus on on-air talent, that essential ingredient that brings gloss, knowledge and understanding, so important in great sports coverage. The sports news correspondents and reporters who've broken stories and gathered original content are up first with the shortlist for Broadcast Journalist.
But Lewis, in his place of work, which is what we're talking about, has been subjected to abuse through the years that nobody should have to face in their place of work, should they?
I didn't know he had.
So a lot of serious faces around here in the last few minutes. We're under red flag conditions. We had an incident on the opening lap involving the Haas car of Romain Grosjean. Really chilling and frightening scenes because it appeared to just burst into flames.
He's the most expensive English footballer of all time, the most expensive defender that football has ever seen. Now finally he's had his say. His version of events has been heard for the first time. It is his version, of course, we have to stress that.
You got your phone with you?
Yes, yeah.
Good lad. Good lad. Rob now struggles to speak, but technology is helping him to communicate in a new way.
Hi, Sal.
You're a bright man, you're clever, you're really intelligent.
I don't think that.
And you are all of the above. You know exactly what you're doing, and I'm just intrigued as to why you do it.
I enjoy doing it.
Ah, now we're getting to the reason.
You must look forward to the day when all of these things we've discussed just become a memory that you can deal with and you can get on with the rest of your life.
Revealing the result, we have the former ITV and Sky Sports presenter, Gary Newbon.
Jim, we've been mates and colleagues for many years, and I'm absolutely delighted to be able to do the citation for the SJA Broadcast Journalist of the Year. So let's get on with it. Taking bronze this year is the BBC Sport's Sonia McLaughlin. Sally Nugent of BBC Breakfast and BBC Sport takes the silver. But the winner, though, according to the judges, and I'm going to quote, the winner broke one of the biggest stories of the year, and in doing so set the news agenda for the most shocking sports story of the year. In doing so, the judges added, he conducted sensitive interviews with both empathy and authority. The SJA Broadcast Journalist of the Year is Steve Scott from ITV News.
For years after I quit gymnastics, I had recurring nightmares about having to train through ignored tears, pain and exhaustion, one told us. Another said some of us would wet ourselves through fear.
I couldn't move.
Strapped you by your wrists?
Yeah.
Did it hurt?
Yes.
Did you tell her?
Yes.
And what did she do?
Nothing about it.
She just left you there?
A delicate portrayal of a sensitive subject gained Steve Scott his second award. Well done, Steve. Let's move on to the next award. Here are the contenders for Sports Commentator.
Formula One's top accolade belongs to Michael Schumacher, and now Lewis Hamilton, the record above all others for one.
He's surely going to take this title, deny David Weir a ninth, and take it. The London Marathon belongs to Brent Lakatos. Wonderful win, hard-earned win, deserved win.
Mess around with syllables and sounds like he just circled those long arms. Movie,
2 words. Take a big step forward. Daddy's home. Your turn.
Santini's coming hard. Album photo. Santini with him. Album photo has done it again.
And Djokovic traipses back to his chair, reflecting on the fact that it is tough to beat perfection.
His clearance is hurried. Back by McTominay! Red letter day! Scott McTominay!
Lamptey, who, as we've already mentioned, is about 5'5", has just jumped up, sprung so high above Luke Shaw and glanced the ball in behind him. It was sensational. I thought he was on a trampoline for a moment there.
Revealing the winner, we have the commentating legend that is Barry Davies.
Well, Jim, it's very much my pleasure to have been invited to announce the winner of the SJA's Commentator of the Year. Some fine commentators in the shortlist this year, and the competition has been very keen. The bronze medal goes to ITV's Nick Mullins. The silver to John Hunt from BBC Radio 5 Live. The winner is someone who has perfected the craft of commentary over many years. His love of words, of drama, and his ability to run through the octaves at speed have endeared him to fans throughout the game of football. Never short of a phrase to place any match, however mundane, in context, he once said, "I never set out to have a style. That would have been pretentious. The only thing I set out to be is authentic. What you hear is just me. Like it or hate it." The SJA's Commentator of the Year is from Premier League Productions, Peter Drury.
At the end of the season they feared may never end. The longest wait, a generation on and more, for the 19th time in their history, for the first time in the Premier League, in the never-to-be-forgotten year of 2020, the champions of England again at last are Liverpool.
He was a clear winner, amazingly, for the first time. Well deserved that for Peter Drury. Now here are the sports presenters vying for the top spot.
Let's make it that only the very best fighters in the world can hold that gold, and we do that by getting rid of all of the alphabets.
4 fabulous days at Cheltenham, but right now the eyes of the sporting world are on Uttoxeter.
Bang! And he whacked it as high as he possibly could, and he waited. And it came down, and he went bang! And he did it again. And he did it 13 times, and the most he ever did was walk 3 paces to it.
We're here at Emirates Old Trafford in Manchester for the second T20 international between England and Pakistan. And it's fair to say that while we've been away, plenty has happened.
And if that is something that we can do by talking about a little bit this morning, if that can offer some sort of light to a situation where you feel like you don't have another option, I'm glad we're talking about it.
And in the sunshine here at Cheltenham, in this glorious, glorious setting, we have seen a very, very special Gold Cup.
Gary Neville is here finally. Look, there's a reason why you're a bit late today, because you weren't expecting. You were on your winter breaks.
I was
Seriously?
on my winter break. I was given some duff information by Sky bosses and then basically hauled back. So I'm a company man, though. I'm here.
Oh, thanks for joining us.
Benny Bonsu, SJA committee member, has the result.
Thank you, Jim. It is my pleasure to be presenting the Sports Presenter of the Year. This year's contest was tough, with an array of fine presenters causing us a real headache in choosing the winner. There is no bronze this year. Instead, a joint silver is awarded to Isha Guha of Whisperer and BBC Sports, along with Mark Chapman from BBC Radio 5 Live. The winner is someone who shows real range of skills, and a natural presenter who thrives on working with big-name talents and bringing the best out of them on air. This year's SJA Sports Presenter of the Year goes to TalkSport's Laura Woods.
You're celebrating them when they do something for your team. You love them when they are brilliant on that pitch, but as soon as they step off of that pitch, you don't give them any support. And it baffles me how you can't see the connection and understand that racism is everywhere in sport, because it's everywhere in society at the moment.
That was another very tight category. We have another first-time winner in the shape of the very talented Laura Woods from TalkSport. Well done, Laura. Now, the SJA's Sports Writer of the Year. This one chosen by a panel of judges, the applicants coming from all the writing shortlists. A very important award. To reveal the winner, we welcome SJA President Patrick Collins.
Thanks, Jim. It's a pleasure to announce the winner of this category. The finest British sports writers have always been ready to mock the pretentious and celebrate the truly gifted. Our winner is a master of these arts. And our winner also writes with insight and emotion about issues that link sport to the hardest of international news stories, like the killing of George Floyd. Opinionated, passionate, elegant, and on occasions very funny, the SJA Sports Writer of the Year is Jonathan Liew of The Guardian.
That was another category that went to the wire, but for the first time, Jonathan Liew claims the John Bromley Trophy as the SJA Sports Writer of the Year. We are reaching the climax of our show with our last two awards for the Best Sports Newspaper and the Best Sports Network, the institutions we all turn to for our sporting knowledge. Here we go with the shortlist for the Sports Newspaper of the Year. Daily Mirror, the Daily Mail, the Daily Telegraph, the Guardian, the Mail on Sunday, the Sun, and the Sunday Times. Revealing the winner of this prestigious award, here's our very own President of the SJA, Patrick Collins.
In a testing year for newspapers in general and sports departments in particular, the winner of this award has risen to the task of making sure that sport has not been forgotten. The judges said that, in addition to a series of agenda-setting exclusives, there were two excellent campaigns on grassroots sport and dementia in sport. This paper can boast smart design, high-quality pictures, and the best roster of football writers. There is also the USP of a women's sports section that continues to push the boundaries. This was, according to the judges, an outstanding product and an outstanding entry. Last year, this paper was praised for its consistency of performance, and it's done it again. The SJA Sports Newspaper of the Year is the Daily Telegraph.
This was the closest of all 35 categories. The Telegraph retaining the title they won last year, and it's their fourth win at these awards. Well done. Now, the final award of the evening recognises the sports network that best set the agenda and covered sport in a unique and interesting fashion. The Sports Network of the Year. Patrick, tell us the result.
This was an outstanding contest which highlighted the creativity, the ingenuity, and the passion of our broadcasters as they faced the many challenges posed by coronavirus. In a fiercely competitive category, the bronze goes to BT Sport and the silver is awarded to TalkSport. But the winner had an outstanding year and delivered its ambition to be at the heart of the sporting conversation. It pushed boundaries with its storytelling, and whether it was tackling racism or campaigning against online hate, it brought important and authentic stories to its audience. In the course of an unprecedented year, this broadcaster was consistently original while placing journalism at the heart of its programming. So the winner of the SJA Sports Network of the Year is Sky Sports.
And many congratulations to Sky Sports taking the final win in what was a very tight category. And there you have it, an incredible 780 entries whittled down to 35 winners in a year when the overall standard was exceptional, and just making the shortlist should be marked as a real achievement. Congratulations to everyone involved. And that's the end of our show. Many thanks for your support and your company. By the way, we'll be sending out certificates and the trophies very shortly. These are challenging times, but the quality of work that we've all enjoyed over the last hour remains exceptionally high. Hopefully, it won't be too long before they're filling stadiums like here at Twickenham once again, and we can all enjoy each other's company. Can't wait. Bye-bye.